Thanks for joining us on Business Nigeria. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has rejected calls by the International Monetary Fund (IMF) to lift the West African country's foreign exchange restrictions and allow a more flexible rate for its currency. He said hard currency restrictions were necessary as the country could no longer afford to import as much as it had in the past due to dwindling oil revenues. The Naira trades versus the dollar on the secondary markets some 30% below the official rate as the central bank has limited access to hard currency to preserve its failing currency reserves. And two major unions in the oil and gas sector have rejected plans to unbundle the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) into 30 companies. The unions are the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers (NUPENG) and Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria (PENGASSN). The union stated that the unilateral action of the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Mr. Ibe Kachukwu, was not in consonance with the laws establishing the NNPC. Meanwhile, the union says the move could provoke workers in the oil and gas sector and cause industrial unrest in the country. Nigerian Communications Commission warns Nigerians to desist from using Tokumbo second-hand or substandard mobile telephones. The country's telecoms regulatory body, during its special day at the 37th Kaduna International Trade Fair in the state capital, warned that Tokumbo phones pose health dangers to users. The executive vice chairman of the NCC, Professor Umaru Ambata, noted that second-hand devices degrade in quality of service with use. He urges telecoms consumers to be wary of the sources of telecom devices they use, as most of the Tokumbo devices have been used and dumped by some countries before being shipped into Nigeria. He added that the telecoms regulatory body has on its website approved phones, while asking Nigerians to do visit the site. We'll have more stories on Business Nigeria, but that's after this break. Stay with us. This is Business Nigeria. Now, due to the foreign exchange scarcity and the declining value of the Naira, many Nigerian importers have shifted their focus to the export trade, mainly in timber and solid minerals. The president of the Shippers Association of Nigeria of Lagos State, Jonathan Nicole, says the development arose due to the current unprofitable nature of importation business. He further stressed that many importers are going into some aspects of export to cover for the period of reduction in importation. Nicole describes the development as a positive one for Nigeria, adding that there is a likelihood that some members might not return to the importation business any longer. Well, joining us now is the president, Nigerian Association of Commodity Exporters, Tola Fashiru. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Now, you heard that many importers are shifting to becoming exporters because of foreign exchange issues in Nigeria. Now, what benefits would this be to the economy?
Well, clearly, this whole issue of foreign exchange scarcity is a function of the demand and supply. What we've seen is over the years, Nigerians have shifted more towards the import side. And of course, Nigeria has been a mono-product economy. That means relying solely on oil. That's not too good for any economy. Right from when I started the basic economics a couple of years back, that I've always known Nigeria to be a mono-product economy. What has happened all this time? We all knew, but no serious or tangible effort was made towards diversifying the economy. So right now, we're in a serious challenging situation right now. The oil price has gone down, the revenue has come down, there's less dollar available for people, and already we have huge appetite for imported items. So these guys, these importers already have things already on the ground, for imports and all of that. The factories, most of the factories that we have here are import dependent. Most of the raw materials are from overseas. And of course, you have many who are into finished goods and they want to bring everything in. So the next thing is this: there's no dollar to meet it up. So people have to source the foreign exchange somewhere. So what I see is that whatever is happening right now is a blessing in disguise. Okay, so we're going to go back, to source dollars from various other sources. And of course, export of agricultural commodities, export of mineral resources becomes a veritable option or alternative. So one thing I think we should do right away is let the dollar float by itself. See, things might degenerate a bit for it to come back to where it's supposed to be. Okay, let us open various avenues for dollars to come in. Local production should be encouraged. Appetite for imported items should be reduced. The truth of the matter is this: if you all make up our mind, when we go out there, we're going to spend minimum dollars. And of course, it's happening, because when you look at the exchange rate, you tend to reduce it. So what all these hula-la-loo on the exchange rate should not be.
Shouldn't be.
Let everybody begin to look inwards. Let government begin to support export activities.
No, we'll go into all that. But many have said that this sudden halt in this, it's also going to affect the economy.
Yeah, but
now it would have given some time, say 1 year, and prepare everybody. Okay, 1 year we're stopping importation. Should it have been done that way?
It doesn't happen that way, because people will take to speculation. Okay, let the forces of demand and supply determine things. For instance, I read that the president said he's not going to allow people send foreign exchange for
education,
foreign education. I agree. The truth of the matter is that beyond that, we should go backwards and strengthen our educational system. Okay, so we're not just going to look at the symptoms. Let's look at the root basis. I schooled in Nigeria. I had my first degree, my primary, my secondary, my university education.
I did too.
And highly qualitative. I can stand side by side with any Harvard graduate, and I will not feel I will beat any Harvard graduate, and that's the truth.
Yeah, we didn't turn out that bad.
Yeah, we compete very well with people that we meet, and we beat them even abroad. So what we are saying is, let's go to the basics. Let's train it. Why do people send their words abroad? It's because there's a big problem here. Okay, so one of the things I will be expecting the president to do right now, beyond saying that if you can afford it, then that's when you can send your children. Let's begin to see the plan of government to strengthen the educational system. Okay, let's begin to see the plan of government to increase production locally. Let's begin to see the plan of government to encourage processing, value addition. Let's begin to see the plan of government to improve the power situation.
Exactly.
Because these are issues that make people to go abroad, because it's cheaper to go and import no matter what the item is. So it still boils down to all of this foreign exchange thing. I always tell people, I said, it's not just about managing the foreign exchange. It's about making things happen the way they should be.
Now, still on President Muhammadu Buhari, he has maintained its standard not to further devalue the naira. Are we trading on the right path?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, he's our president, and I respect his opinion. But the truth of the matter is that when you do that, you allow for arbitrage. Okay? The gap between the official rate and the parallel market rate is too wide. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world. Okay, what I think and the position in most countries is that you allow the forces of the demand and supply to take, and automatically things will adjust. When it's too expensive to import, people will go and export. You've seen that most of the importers are beginning to look inward. How can they generate their foreign exchange? Before you know it, over time, in a short while, the flow of foreign exchange into the country will improve, clearly. So, and one thing that is very important that we should all note is that when that rate is still at 199, it means that government is subsidizing importation, okay? If it devalues, for instance, if the central bank devalues, maybe to about 250, what it means is that government will be earning additional naira for the foreign exchange that is expending, which means government will have more naira to fund these local projects, okay, and reduce the arbitrage. Yeah, somebody will say, oh, it will go higher on the other side. At the end of the day, when there are strategies put in place to improve the supply of dollars into this country rather than maneuvering and manipulating, things will square up. China, what they did was that at some point, all they were focusing was export. They were just pushing out because it helps their balance of trade. There's no country that will run an economy the way we've been running our economy that can really be successful. So this falling price of oil gives us the opportunity to rearrange ourselves, to rearrange our economy, to become the giant that we have been been aiming to be.
Okay, now while we wait to rearrange the economy, people are suffering. Food items are getting costlier by the day. What should the government do to alleviate the suffering of the people?
First of all, they should look at the infrastructure. When the exchange rate is devalued, what it means is that the government has more naira to do what it wants to do. Okay? That means they're earning more naira for each unit of dollar that they earn. So, they should improve on the infrastructure. They should improve on power. They should improve on amenities in the local areas where this production, particularly agricultural production, will be taking place. They should encourage, processing. As we speak, most of the things that we produce here in Nigeria, they are exported raw to other places. We're losing jobs. But why do people export raw? It's because the opportunities, the enabling environment is not there. Okay, the finances, okay, the funding for the export sector should be robust. The financing or the funding for the agri sector should be robust. An average farmer should be comfortable. In America, for instance, the richest guys are the farmers. Is that the case here? No. And we have 84 million arable, 84 million hectares of arable land in Nigeria. Only 40% is being cultivated. Why? We are not. The tractors are not there to make these things easy, you know. But I believe with the change that we have now, all of these things are going to improve. We're going to see more funding, I believe, because I believe the government is putting together their strategy on the way forward. Funding will be made available should be made available for the farmers, those that are going to, and then those are going to be engaging in manufacturing. I tell you, it's not so easy manufacturing in Nigeria. I'll tell you. People might say, oh, why are they not producing in Nigeria? You go and try it, you'll see. Before you know it, within a short while, you're going to have gray hair because you're going to be dealing with a whole lot of things. You're going to be your own water supplier. You're going to be your own power supplier. You're going to be your road. You're going to do the roads. All of these things. So
in spite of all of that, you think we should still start?
We should start
manufacturing and
should, but government has a great role to play. And don't forget, when you're talking about the export of these things, we are playing in a global market, which means you must be competitive. Okay, so the government in Vietnam, in India, and these other places are doing everything to support their local market or local economy. The Nigerian government also must do the same.
Now, finally, talking about the global markets, the IMF insists that the Nigerian government should stop the foreign exchange restriction. You're saying that shouldn't happen?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, everywhere in the world, when there's such a gap, it gives room for arbitration. It gives room for speculation. Okay. And one of the things that is important that we say here is also that the exporters, when they earn their income, when they earn that revenue, they should be given unfettered access to their foreign exchange. When you gag them to say they should sell the money at the official rate of $200 when the market is 300 and something out there, then you can get the best. You can have increase in the revenue to that sector. So basically, when you mean something, or rather, let me say, you got to walk your talk. You don't say you want to achieve this and then the policy is doing something contrary. There must be harmony and in terms of your policy and in terms of that which you want to achieve.
Walking the talk. Thank you very much, Tola Fashiru, for joining us. He is the Nigerian President, National Association of Commodity Exporters, and he also exports cashew nuts.
Absolutely. I'm the president of
Cashew Nut Association. Thank you so much for joining us. And we take a break, and we'll come back. We have more stories on Business Nigeria. You're welcome back. This is Business Nigeria. Well, Nigeria's three refineries have recorded their first major profits for the year 2016. And that is the consolidated revenue of the three refiners indicated an operating profit of 5.67 billion naira. The reports from the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation show that of the three, only two actually made profits at the close of activities in January. The plants are the Warri Refining and Petrochemical Company, Kaduna Refining and Petrochemical Company, and Port Harcourt Refining Company. Meanwhile, the federal government is set to employ more hands to fill vacant positions to be created when the NNPC is finally split into 30 companies. The United Nations Agency, the Food and Agriculture Organization, has described fish farming as an important sector of the economy. They say it is the most sustainable and fastest growing food subsector in the world. The organization made this known during a summit in Morocco that brought together delegates of fishery ministries from more than 50 countries to discuss emerging governance needs in the sector. A statement from the organization noted that fish provides the world with 17% of its animal protein, and developing countries with more export revenue than meat, tobacco, rice, and sugar combined. Nigerians resident in Ibadan, capital of Nigeria's peace-sated state, Oyo, have charged the federal government to develop a viable strategy to boost the nation's economy. These calls are coming on the heels of rising inflation, which they say has made their lives quite unbearable. Correspondent Olutayo Famous Cole looks at life through the lens of Oyo residents.
Oyo State lies in the southwest of Nigeria and has a population of more than 10 million people. It also boasts a considerable population of farmers and traders. It is predominantly an agrarian society, as the state's economy thrives on production of food crops. But farmers here are yet to go the mechanized route. Today, Oyo State is still making frantic efforts to shake off the economic downturn that has held it down in spite of its impressive performance in the agriculture sector.
Everything eatable is very expensive. I don't see anything that is good, that is easy to buy. So because no money, no salary.
One thing I know is that it's going to be really tough. And I know that this year, if they think that they can resolve that issue, they cannot. We have to face reality. They are not God. They are human beings like we are. Meanwhile, the way they met the country is not going to really, it's not favorable.
The internally generated revenue of the state now stands at 1.2 billion naira, and in the wake of a national economic crisis. But the state hopes to grow its internally generated revenue to about 5 billion naira annually by the end of 2016.
I believe this is the time that we must be innovative. This is the time we must come up with new ways of doing things. And what we are doing on our side is to ensure that we look for all the avenues to make money.
And swiftly, suggestions have been pouring in as to how the state could achieve this.
Yes, I agree. The economic situation is terrible now, that workers have to make sacrifice, but it must start from the top. Have they reduced the number of vehicles in their fleet? Why must Oyo State want to have the same number of commissioners like its Lagos counterpart? Why? When every fool knows that Ikoyi Obalende local government alone is richer than Oyo and Osun State put together.
This government is the last hope, and we believe in the presidency of Muhammadu Buhari, but they need to do more.
In 2015, it got a bailout of 26.6 billion naira, which the state authorities say was consumed by workers' salaries. But Governor Ajimobi has maintained that he is not ready to lay off workers. And since the state gets just 3 billion naira monthly from the federation account, the government might be considering a possible workers' salary cut to make ends meet. Olutayo Famous Cole, TVC News, Oyo State.
Now, crude oil prices have moved up again, taking higher values per barrel at the various market centers. At the London markets, the Brent trades for $39 a barrel, the highest price since the beginning of this quarter. For the OPEC basket, crude price ticked up by nearly 1% as a barrel of the commodity sells for $32. And that's it on Business Nigeria for today. Thanks for watching. I am Ugochi Olivo. See you next time.